Well, hey there, Liz Gracia here and welcome to another episode of your weekly dose of higher consciousness that you can find on my YouTube channel at trumpeteroftruth.tv.com or on the podcast at trumpeteroftruthradio.com. This is the place to discover the foundational basics and essential understandings for raising your level of consciousness and building a better life. So this portion of this week's weekly dose is based on Dr. Hawkins' book of slides, which I'll show you to you here. And in the book of slides, he's got 101 ways to peace, 101 ways to happiness, and 101 ways to success. So I thought I'd mix it up from here on out because I was doing all happiness before, but I'm going to mix them up so every week you can take a dive into different topics. And this is the tip number 1 from Dr. Hawkins' book on 101 ways to success. And what he's asking you to consider, are you considering internal success or external success? Now, according to consciousness calibrations, worldly success comes in at about 375 on the map of consciousness. And if you're intending for worldly success, you got to fill the tank up with a high level of consciousness to get there. Now, if you're judging yourself for not being where you want to be in life on the worldly realm, you got to let go of lower level of consciousness beliefs about yourself, because there's no gas in the tank when you're disparaging or diminishing yourself at all. You got to step into loving yourself and forgiving yourself. So that, how do you get there? It has to do with how to let go of the lower levels, which is a whole other podcast on episode 10, season 1. So many of us, it can be easy to have internal success. And Dr. Hawkins gives some simple examples like, you learn to build a birdhouse and workshop. Woohoo, you did that. Or you got into painting and you started to get to be really good at painting. So these are just like things that you really can love and enjoy, like hobbies or learning how to cook or teach or start a podcast or start a video cast, all these little things that you want to do for yourself. So many people think that to want success or to intend for success is kind of like contrary to peace and happiness. Whereas when you start to let go of the lower levels, you're going to step into peace and happiness, and that's a success unto itself. Peace and happiness, those levels of consciousness, appreciate success, and it's likely you won't get to the success you're hoping for if you don't come to some level of peace and happiness within yourself. And at the level of consciousness of acceptance at 350, you're willing to forgive yourself. So you've got to step into pretty high levels of consciousness for worldly success at 375. But just simple internal success is loving the process along the way. It's really gratitude and appreciation every day for loving yourself along the way. And Dr. Hawkins mentions in this, which I've intuitively knew, the biggest obstacle to any type of internal or external success is your own self-beliefs. Being hypercritical of yourself is not effective. It's downward pulling energies. It's not aligned with knowing that you are worthy and talented and gifted, and you're a gift to be in this world, as we all are. So that's this week's 101 ways to success, according to the teachings of Dr. David R. Hawkins, and understanding levels of consciousness. And you got to put the gas in the tank with higher consciousness to get where you want to go. So that's what this episode is all about. And I've started to break up these weekly doses of higher consciousness into our 101 ways video. This week it's about success. Other weeks it will be about happiness or peace. I have another video this week about your weekly dose of higher consciousness quiz, which is super fun to understand levels of consciousness as it relates to different topics. This week it's movies, which are fun. And you'll also, if you're interested in what the heck is a quantum spiritual awakening, I'm going to tell the story of mine and my, 2020 hindsight. Hindsight is 2020 vision. What I've gathered from kind of observing what happened, understanding consciousness, and all that type of good stuff. So you'll find that in this week's episode, and that's our main topic, all about spiritual awakenings. I'll see you next week. We're going to do 101 ways to happiness next week, and I don't know what our quiz will be, so we'll see you then. Thanks for joining me.